Hi and welcome. I will show in Blender 3.4 that I'm using now how you can do some simple motion graphics using Blender's curve tools. So I will start by deleting the default cube, pressing X on my keyboard and delete. Now I will add a curve. So Shift A, curve, and I will use this option, curve spirals, and select spheric. This doesn't look too much fun or interesting, so I will go down here to the curve spiral options, and we have some parameters we can tweak here a bit. So to start with, we will add a few more turns to this curve. Maybe 14 is good. The steps is basically the resolution of the curves, so if we increase the steps here, we can see that we get a bit more geometry from the vertices. 30 is okay. Radius, how big it is. Now it's 1 meter. I can increase that and lower that. So that's basically it. Here you can also choose if you want to have different curve shapes, but now we're using this one. Counterclockwise or clockwise, it's up to you. So now I will click in my scene, I will tab out of edit mode, and we will add some geometry to this. So we will need to go into the options here, the curve options, data properties, and find geometry, and we can tweak all these settings: offset, extrude, depth, and resolution. For this demonstration I will only increase the depth. I will check my camera and it's centered, so I don't have to change anything there. But now it's time to animate this. So we want a fluid animation. By default, Blender is set up to 24 frames per second. So we will go into the output properties here and change the frame rate to at least 30 frames per second to get a bit more fluidity in the animation. I will increase the end value here. I will use 300 frames for this animation. Here you set up the direction for the file when you render. The file format, change that from PNG to FFmpeg video, and then the encoding to H.264 MP4. We can also go into the encoding here and increase the output quality to high quality. And now we don't have to do anything more there. Let's go back to our curve here, and it's a bit blocky right now, and there's an easy fix for that. We go into the modifier properties and add a subdivision surface modifier, and we are now up to 160,000 triangles. If you find your computer struggling with this, you could just disable the preview here, so your viewport don't lag too much. It all depends on what computer you're using. Okay, now we will animate our sphere here, or our curve. So we will go into the curve properties again, data properties, and find here, start and end mapping. Here is the fun stuff. So if I tweak this by holding down with my mouse or my trackpad, click, and I drag left and right, we can see that we get an animation. So on frame number 1, I will lower that to 0. I will go with my cursor over and press I to enable one keyframe. I will move now to, let's try 250. Frame 250, what will happen? Yes, I will go up to value number 1 and I will press I on my keyboard, and now let's play it. That's the look of it. And you can also make this more interesting by adding more geometry like this, or actually animate or the movement. So on frame 250 I will press I, and I will make a keyframe for rotation. I will go to 300, frame 300, and we will rotate in the Z axis quite a bit, and press I. The shape has been built up and then it will start to rotate. We can move this rotation out of a bit forward to 340 perhaps, so the rotation will continue. I will also increase the frame time or the animation length to 330, I think is enough. And the rotation starts on 250. I will now add another keyframe by pressing I on my keyboard and select location. I will go to the last frame. Now I will press G on my keyboard and then Z and move it up. Click, and then I will press I again and select location. Let's see how that looks. I will also move the location keyframe a bit further. So that's it basically. Now it's just a matter of setting up a scene. A good example or a good recommendation for that is to use black background and add volumetric with some lights and perhaps some other stuff in the scene to make it a bit more interesting. So that's everything. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.